Hello, this is Julia. Thank you so much for joining me on my craft room adventures. This time, I have a birthday card to share with you using stamps and dies by Hello Bluebird. First, I stamped out the images from the Spooky Speller stamp set onto Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I'm just coloring them in using Copic markers. I already stamped in the letters of my critters, and now I'm just coloring in my first one using cool grays. I'm using C5 as my darkest shade, C3, C1, and C00. I'm just adding in the C5 where I want it to be darkest, then blending that out with the C1, the C3, then the C1, and for the lightest areas of the face, I'm going to use the C00. Going in with the second layer to create a bit more dimension on my critter. Also just going in with some C00 and the C1 for the white areas on my skunk. And I'm using our 000 to add some blush. I'm using the same shades of gray for my little cat, but I'm just going in with C3, C1, and C0, so I'm just leaving out the C5, just to have this one look a little bit lighter. Just adding in the C3 where I want it to be darkest, blending that out with the C1, and just using the C00 in the lightest areas. Adding a second layer. Again with the R000 for the cheeks and the insides of the ears. Then I'm moving on to the bunny, which I wanted to shade in some warm grays. And I'm using W00, W1, and W3 because I wanted it to be pretty light but still with a tiny bit of dimension. Again with the R000 for the insides of the ears and the cheeks. Now for my fox, I'm using some warm browns, and I'm using E00, E11, and E15. Just laying down the E15 as my darkest shade, wherever I think the shadows should be. Blending that out with the E11. And then going in with the second layer of my shading, leaving the center parts of his face and the tail white before I'm ready to color everything in, and then I'm just going in with the E00 as well. Again with the R000 for the cheeks. Using some cool gray for the tail and the insides of the ears and the mouth area. And now I'm just using the E00 and the E11 for my squirrel because I wanted this one to be a bit lighter. In hindsight, I should have thought about the coloring of the critters before I stamped the letters, because the two gray ones and the two brown ones ended up being right next to each other, but it's fine really. Just for future reference, I would consider that beforehand. Also adding in a little bit of the E15 for a little bit more depth. And I'm just using the W00 for the face, the 000, what was it, the R000 again. And for the gift boxes, I'm using 4 different colors. I'm using a teal shade, BG11 and BG13. I'm using the RV000 and the RV63. I'm using BV000 and BV02. And I'm using C1 and C3. Just basically just creating a mix of colors. I didn't exactly know how many presents I would be needing, so I just stamped out a bunch. And I knew I wanted to create like a pastel colored scene, so I kept those colors pretty light. Just using the BV000 and the BV2. Adding in the shadows with the BV02 and then the BV000. Now with the RV000 and the RV63. And I'm just doing a little bit of the tip-to-tip technique to create a nice blend between the RV000 and the RV63. Also, as you may have noticed from the photos beforehand, this is a pretty big card. I actually intended to make a slimline card, but I wanted to add the treehouse scene from Hello Bluebird, the little treehouse, and that ended up being a little too narrow. So I don't know if there's an actual name for that size. I just call it A2 extended because it has the same height as the regular A2 card, which is 4 1/4, but it's the same length as a slimline card, which is 8 1/2. So you have plenty of room to work on this one. I die cut the front panel out of Bristol smooth cardstock, and now I'm just using spun sugar and shaded lilac to create like a dusky sky. Just blending the colors back and forth. I really just wanted to keep this just light and pastel, not a lot of color. And then I'm adding the liquid pixie dust from Ink on 3, just adding some water and adding lots of glittery splatters on my background. I die cut the treehouse scene die from Hello Bluebird out of Bristol smooth cardstock, and now I'm just ink blending that with antique linen and walnut stain. As you can see on the door, the elements of the windows pop out, so the die is so the tree is basically see-through. So in the later stages of the card is when I realized it, because I could see the background. So I just cut some little pieces of Bristol, ink blended that with some scattered straw for a light yellow color, and just glued those to the backs of the windows, just to make sure you can't see through. And now I'm just, I die cut the hill using the grassy knoll die set, and I'm just ink blending some cracked pistachio on that. Also with the grassy knoll, I die cut these panels to create treetops. And I'm ink blending cracked pistachio and some pine needles on those 3. I didn't exactly know how the scene was going to end up, so I just made 3 of these. In the end, I only needed 2. Now I'm just adding some splatters of the cracked pistachio and the pine needles, and also some water splatters on my treetops, just to create some interest on there. Now it's time to add the decorative elements to my treehouse. I just left those white because I thought it was a nice contrast next to the light brown. I'm just using the Quickie glue pen and running those along the lines and just gluing down all of these elements. The frame for the windows. It also comes with a little doorknob and also shutters for the top window, which is super cute. Then it was time to stamp my sentiment, and I didn't have a matching one by Hello Bluebird, so I just used the Mama Elephant birthday, Scripty Birthday stamp set, and I just used the birthday wishes so that my scene will read Happy Birthday Wishes with the spooky spellers. I just used a ruler to make sure it was centered. And then I just used my Versamark ink pad to stamp it. Off to the side, my heat gun is already heating up so that it's nice and hot. And I'm using the metallic platinum embossing powder by Wow. Just cleaning off any stray embossing powder flakes with a paintbrush. Just making sure there's nothing where it shouldn't be. And now I'm just using my heat gun and running it over the sentiment until the powder is smooth and melted. I already added the background to A2 extended, I guess, card base, which measures, what is it, 8.5 by 8.5, and scored at 4.25. I added the hill with foam tape and also the tree with some foam tape. As you can see on the bottom right, my tree was kind of floating in the air, so just cut a little piece of the hillside panel and just stuck it behind the tree to basically just add a second layer of hill to cover that up. Now I'm just adding my treetops also with foam tape behind them. Making sure that none of the foam squares would show. And I'm just going to trim off any of the excess with some scissors. I was just trying to figure out the placement of my critters, so I just put them on the scene, and now I'm stamping the little grass pieces from the Field Mice stamp set, also in cracked pistachio oxide ink, just for a little bit more interest on the hill. And now I'm just using foam tape to add my critters. I'm also, I realized that my scene was a little bit too empty at the top, So I just stamped and colored a few more images, a little bumblebee and a few more butterflies. At first I adhered the bunny with liquid glue, but then I realized that he would be the only one, so I just ended up adding some foam squares to him as well. And then off camera I just added the butterflies, the bumblebee, and also the gift packages with those just with liquid glue. I added some additional shimmer on the gift boxes and also on the butterflies and the bumblebee. And with the liquid pixie dust and the glitter pen, it really created a super sparkly scene, which I totally love. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun making it, especially with so much room to decorate. On screen, I will link to 2 more videos that may interest you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!